A very good morning to all of you. Myself, Rinkal Choudhary, Assistant Professor, School of Sciences, Department Forensic Science, Sage University, Bhopal. Today, I would like to describe about the history of forensic science. As we all know the definition of forensic science, what is forensic science, what is the application and the use of forensic science. As forensic science basically, it is the It is the application of all applied sciences which is used in our criminal justice system and useful to the law. Basically, it is used to investigate criminal cases involving a victim, such as sexual assault cases or any assault cases, robbery, theft, kidnapping, murder, and some civil cases are also involved in the investigation of these cases, like forgery, fraud, or any document forgery is included in this. Forensic science also determine and also identify the manufacturing of medicine, agriculture, automobile, or many other things. Basically, in the forensic science, we have to analyze or we have to investigate any crime with the use of basic applications of science, which is already described. When we are using uh, any scientific technology is used to investigate the crime, that is called forensic science. It is very clear and easy. So what is the history, how it is developed, how it is working? So let's discuss about some development and history of forensic science. During the 19th and 20th century, there is a scientific approach. First, the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, it is a criminal investigation series of Sherlock Holmes. He popularized the scientific method of investigation. You can also see the series and you can also read the book. There are more mystery books about murder mystery by famous authors. So after that, in to over 200 BC, there is some people which are using clay as a fingerprint. So first fingerprint was developed in the field of forensic science. After that, a forensic chemist, that is Matthew Orefila, and who is also known as father of toxicology in 16th century. And he was a Spanish toxicologist and chemist. He studied and published a book on the effects of poisons of animals, how to detect a particular poison. He worked very hard to establish the method of the detecting in the poison. And he also called father of toxicology and called father of modern toxicology. After Matthew Orifila, Alphonse Bertillon developed the system of how to identification of any individual. He started some scientific methods which comes under the anthropometry. It is a procedure of the body measurements. How can you differentiate one individual to another individual? There is some body measurements. On the basis of these, you can establish the identity of any person. And this called as Bertillon system. Through scientific process, you can investigate any criminal and you can identify any criminal on the basis of personal identification. You can make a data on the basis of identification, and you can establish individuality. After Alphonse Bertillon, Francis Galton established the classification of fingerprints. So fingerprints were developed very earlier, but after that, we don't know which type of classification in the fingerprints, how it is classified. So Francis Galton gives their system, and he also described three type of fingerprints. In our ridges, there are three type of fingerprints called loop, whorls, and arches. After that, how how can we collect these type of fingerprints? How can we record the data? So after Francis Galton, Henry Folds makes some classification system, to classify the fingerprints, and we can make it in our record or in our system. Henry Foltz give 10-digit classification of fingerprints. We can collect 10 fingers of fingerprints on the basis of given classification by Foltz as 10-digit classification. Francis Galton, known as father of fingerprints. After the development of fingerprints, after the Hans Gross, which is very popular Austrian criminologist and known as the father of criminalistics, Hans Gross established a book, published his book on criminal investigation, in which they describe various type of techniques we are using in criminal investigation, how it is useful, how can be used these type of applications and these type of methods. What is the transferring of evidence? So Hans Gross are known as father of criminalistics. After the Hans Gross, Edmond Lucard, which was a French criminologist, he basically discovered the principle of forensic science that is called Lucard exchange principle or mutual principle of mutual exchange. He described that when two things come in contact with each other, they always leave some traces, or these traces are called forensic evidences, and we can use these traces to establish a link between the crime, criminal, and victim. So, for example, when we touch any glasses with some dust, then dust will transfer on our finger and our fingerprints will transfer on that particular surface of the glass. This is called mutual exchange of Edmond Lucard principle. On the basis of Edmond Lucard principle, our forensic science established is all on the principles which is clearly explain how forensic investigation can be done. After the mutual exchange of principle given by Edmond Lucard, there is Albert Osborne. He also introduced some new techniques which also comes in pure forensic science, like fingerprints. Fingerprints and question document examination is the only branches which comes under pure forensic science. Otherwise, all branches is having pure sciences comes under pure sciences like chemistry. In chemistry, in toxicology, we used to read some toxic substances, cement, milk, adulteration. So which it comes under the chemistry. And in forensic science, we used to identify these adulteration and we used to identify the poison in toxicological analysis. So Albert Osborne, which is known as the father of question document examination, he made some contribution in the field of examination of question document, and his first book was published in 1910 as question document. Other publications were also include the various type of question document examination techniques like fingerprint techniques, forgery techniques, signature forgery identifications, or the ink examinations, paper examinations. So Albert Osborne, also known as the father of question documents. After the Osborne, Leon Lattice discovered the how to identify dried blood stain pattern. Dr. Karl Landsteiner first discovered the ABO blood grouping system. A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative, AB positive, AB negative, O positive, and O negative. These blood group systems are developed by Dr. Karl Landsteiner. After that, Dr. Leon Lattice devised a relatively simple procedure how to determine blood group from a drop of blood which is dried. So dry blood stain pattern analysis was described by the Dr. Leon Lattice, and he is also known as the father of blood stain identification, and the technique is still in use. After the Dr. Leon Lattice, Calvin Hooker Goddard, which is also known as the father of forensic ballistics. In ballistics, he described the comparison of fired bullet with a test bullet to determine the particular weapon has been used for the firing of a bullet or not. It would be possible to get the exact identity of the weapon and the bullet from where it was fired. So, in forensic ballistics, he would comparison with the help of comparison microscope of two bullets. One is test bullet and other is fired bullet, and he used to establish whether it is fired from particular gun or not. After the Kelvin Hooker Goddard, Sir Alex Jeffrey, he was a British genetist and he developed the DNA profiling and genetic fingerprint technique. This technique can be used for the identification of any individual. From the anthropometric measurement, we cannot establish the identity in a right way. But from the DNA fingerprint, it is the very right way to identify any person. And DNA is also currently used in all over the world, especially in forensic science for the purpose of law. It is very you can say that it is very important evidence which can be collected from the various type of crime scene, and it may lead to the death sentence also when it comes to the justice of any victim. So DNA profiling can describe our STR markers region, which is called short tandem repeats. On the basis of these regions, it can be repeated and how it is sequenced. We can describe the individuality of any person. So this is the history of forensic science, and it is the basic history, many more to come. Thank you so much for your patience. I will discuss the development, how the development of forensic science laboratories and how it comes. We will describe in our next video. Thank you so much for the listening and for your patience.